and particularly in areas around things, we know, for instance, that climate change was a top three issue for Labour voters in the last election, making sure you're not being seen to take the pedal off that. So I don't think it's an issue of having to sort of dilute one way or the other, making sure you've got a full package to a different bits where people can say, the government's doing that for me.
And briefly, because I know you have to go soon, what about young voters under 30s? Because historically they have been more left-wing than not. It's not always the case, but we are seeing a rising number of young right-wing politicos, I guess you would call them, or I should just call them voters. What about those younger people? Because I guess these are the political opportunities for all parties, not least the incumbent government. Housing, jobs, pay, prospects. That's got to be a big part of what the offer has to be, isn't it?
Completely. Look, why are young people turning to non-mainstream parties? As you say, it's not just reform. Some young men are going for reform, but actually, amongst Gen Z women, we have the Greens ahead for the first time. Actually, since the start of the year, we've had that, and they're turning to these parties because they're saying social contract, it ain't working for me. I've done the right thing. I've worked hard, got an apprenticeship, I've gone to university, but I can't afford to get a house. It's hard to get a relationship. Everything feels unfair. And so I think you're absolutely right. I think it's bigger than party politics, addressing that Gen Z dissatisfaction with the status quo. Otherwise, people are going to opt out, or, as we've seen in the US and we see on the continent, voting for non-mainstream parties who say they'll sort of throw the chessboard up in the air and start again.
Is any of this new in terms of political sort of shifts, shifting sands?
Well, I think the degree of fragmentation is clearly new. Young people have always tended to be a bit more radical in their politics, but I think it is new that established two-party system is breaking down. It's not a case of people, okay, we don't like that one, we're going to swing to the other side. It's the whole politics kind of just a word term, sorry.
Because it is sometimes how I feel when I'm talking about it. Oh my gosh. Well, leave it on that fabulous note. Thank you very much, Luke. Great to talk to you. Luke Trill, Director of More in Common. That's, if you're not aware of what they do, it's a think tank which aims to target social divisions, but does a whole lot of talking to voters on a regular basis, pretty much all the time. I think that really summed up how a lot of us feel at the moment, didn't it? And if is making you abandon the mainstream parties in terms of your voting, or just your thinking, because we're a long way off a general election as things stand. If you're looking to parties like Reform, or let's throw the Greens into the mix off the back of what Luke said there, what is it that's appealing to you? Or are you being pushed there by the lack of appeal from the others? I mean, that was a big argument during the general election, wasn't it? And you told it to me, you said it to me on a regular basis on these programmes, that you weren't massively enthusiastic about Keir Starmer and Labour, but